So I'm going to be doing the steering column for this, leading down to there. Alright, so what we got here is we have a piece of DOM tubing that is 13 inches long. It's 1 inch, 1/8 inch wall. And then we have a piece of 3/4 inch DOM. I put a groove in it, just barely scratching the surface, so that way, well, anyway, I'll get to that. But anyway, so I have a little spiral groove going around it. This piece is 15.5 inches long. You see these black marks right here? That's so that way it's centered. When I slide this in, I can center it in the middle, like that. Now the groove that's around this bar, I found the center here, and I'll be drilling a hole and tapping it and putting a grease zerk in there. So when I fill it up with grease, the grease will follow that track. Then I have this little piece right here that I cut, and then I took my cutting blade and cut grooves into it, and then cut an angle into it. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking this and tapping it in there with my hammer, and then welding around that. And then this will be welded into the universal joint on the steering column. I don't really want to weld the dang thing on, but I don't have anything else to do, so this is the only way I can do it with what I have. Alright, well, next what I'm doing here is I cut a piece of 1/8 inch square, and it's 2 3/8 by 2 3/8, and I'm going to be putting that on, drilling a hole, and then I'll be making the 3 little holes for that. So, and I got to drill this hole and the other 3. Forgot where the placement's at. I'm going to drill this hole first, and then bolt it on, and then mark where the other 3 holes are at. Okay, well, instead of doing that, see what I did here? The punch right there, dot, is a little off center because, well, I cut on the outside of the line when I made it. So this X was actually closer to this corner, this point. So I just, instead of remarking it, I just put the dent. Well, that's what I was going to use. But then I remembered, when I went over there to the drill press, I had this thing sitting there. I was like, hey, that's one of those holes that I made for something when I used my hole saw. That's not 1/8 inch. That's like, I don't know, 1/4? 3/16 maybe? I don't know. But anyways, so I'm like, hey, I'll use that instead. So now I'm going to put in a 1/4 inch bolt in there. Well, actually, I don't even have to do that because I eyeballed it, centered it, and then marked the 3 dots. So now I'm going to put dents in there, mark it, ding, 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 and then drill it. Alright, well, I got the holes drilled. Let's see, get a little light over here. Alright, I got the holes drilled, put in some 1/4 inch pins. 2 pins are slightly longer than 1. I then took, remember the arm, or the steering shaft, has this set up. So I took 1 more, stuck that on there. See how they line up? So this way I'll be able to take my steering off. And I got the holes lined up like that. That was a little difficult to do. Get those holes lined up. But let me assemble it here quick so you guys can see the magic. Now the shorter pin, now the shorter pin here is the one that goes on the bottom. Like that. Now I'll end up cutting the pins a little shorter than what they are at now. Huh. Yeah, maybe they're not as lined up as I thought they were, huh? Yeah, maybe. No, yes. Good. It's good. Yeah, no. No good. Eat it. Eat it. Get the threads out, sticking out the other side a little better. Stick my ratchet on it and pull it through. I might need to use a longer bolt. Didn't even get to the lock section. Okay. Alright, that's how it goes together. So that way, once I take this center section here, because this area, this centerpiece here is going to be welded in, to the cart, holding this thing in place. Put the grease zerk on there, and then I'll be able to take this bolt out and remove the steering wheel. And well, got it in there. And see, but the problem is, alright, now I have the front end actually propped up off the ground. The problem that I'm coming across is that it's too tight, and I've been sitting here fidgeting with it, dripping oil, squirted grease in the grease zerk there, and it's just not, I don't like it so tight. I want to be able to drive it with one hand, and right now I can't. Yeah, I don't like that at all. Looks like I'm gonna have to cut this pipe off, get a bigger pipe, and actually install some bushings, some brass bushings over this shaft that goes down. So I'm going to get bigger steel here, put some bushings in up here and down here. I don't know how I'm going to keep them down here, keep them in down here. You slide them in and they'll slide back out.
that sucks. Yeah, I've tried oil. Well, no, I haven't put any oil in there. I put from my grease gun, grease in there, and I also put in some gear oil. And that's nothing is loosening this up at all. I think what happened was when I was welding on this DOM tubing, when I welded these supports to the DOM tubing must have flexed inside or something. Because before, you saw when I had this outer shield, and I was sliding the outer shaft, and I was sliding the inner shaft in and out of the outer shaft. It worked perfectly. It rotated nice. But now it's all fucking bound up in there and everything.
I can tell you right now, I can look at it right now and see I've got way too much. My tires are bent in too far.
Yep. And I don't know of any other type of grease or oil that I can get in there that's gonna make this one-handed type of thing.
Because that's what I want. I want to be able to drive it one-handed.
Yeah, it sucks.
I've been out here almost all day working on this. And that steel, these tubes are the closest tolerance that I could find without having it rattle inside the hole, you know, rattle inside the tube. Maybe that's what I'm going to have to do is get some bushings for it. I'm going to have to hack off this top DOM. Damn it. That stuff's expensive. Get some different steel. Yeah, I'll show you the grease I used in the steering here. I used my little Harbor Freight grease gun right there. And then that didn't seem to loosen it up much. And then I squirted some of this on the joints. Gear lubricant. That didn't work. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the top bar again, go down to Ace Hardware, find some bushings, get some new steel, and redo that outside sleeve again. Now I don't really want to use any pillow block bearings in that to support the inside shaft. I don't want to do that because the steering wheel only turns 360 degrees. It goes one full turn one way. Or no, it goes two turns one way, 2 turns the other way, I think, something like that. But to use pillow block bearings on steering like that, that's kind of a waste of bearings. So I already tried it. I tried to slide this over the inside shaft, and this wouldn't work. The inside shaft, even though it is 3/4, it's DOM, and it's not. It wouldn't fit. So, which would mean that I would have to grind the whole thing down so the shaft could go in those bearings. I've done that before, and that's a pain in the butt. And you always end up with pits, and the shaft never comes out completely round. And I don't have a lathe. You know, if I had a lathe, that would be a little bit different, because then I could just put it in there and then sand it, take off, you know, a millimeter or something like that of it. But of course, that would take a while, sanding a millimeter of steel. Yeah, but I think what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to refab that whole top part. Alright, that's it. Bye-bye.